Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. Ciao tutti. Ciao bella. Hi Sue. Welcome guys. Welcome to Firenze. Welcome to another Thank God It's Friday in Florence. And it's a very warm Florence. The humidity is incredible, in the 30s. And look where I'm sitting. I just had a gelato. I had it without you because I didn't want to be eating gelato while you were there and looking at me having this yummy pistachio and gianduja. Gianduja, which is a flavor that was invented in Piemonte. It is hazelnut and chocolate. Kind of like the Nutella. Actually, yeah, I cut my hair. It was too long. It was so hot. So, for those of you who have just arrived and don't know where you are, my name is Linda. I am the owner of Italy Customized, a local tour operator based in Florence. I'm originally from Australia. I've been in Firenze for 20 years and I create multi-day vacations in Italy, the French Riviera and the Greek islands. And one of the tours, thank you. Yeah, I cut my hair. One of the tours that I love to create are food, wine and culture. So that's a lot of the themes of what I actually do. And this afternoon, I'm going to show you some of the wine windows. Can you see the one behind me? This one, this Bucchetta del Vino. So the wine window, for any of you who have been watching Stanley Tucci, you probably know a little bit about the wine window, but actually this was a way to sell wine during the Renaissance. So basically in the Middle Ages, if you think about Firenze, it was it was one of the wealthiest cities in the world. These very important families who made their money in finance and textiles. Centuries later, they started to change a little bit, get into agriculture. And wine was an important industry. And so on the outskirts of Firenze, we have the Chianti region, where, as you know, the famous straw-based bottle, the Fiasco, which was exported all over the world in the 1950s, is coming from Tuscany. Chianti, from the Chianti region, okay? And so this wine window, there actually was an allowance. The commune or the government actually allowed private palaces, to sell their wine directly from the window. You see the hole is the exact size of a fiasco. So they could sell their wine directly, like a little drive-through from the Middle Ages, selling wine. Now, what's really interesting about the Vivoli wine window is that it was actually discovered later. They actually found it after the flood of 1966. They've actually used it during the pandemic as well. So the last time it was open was during the plague 200 years ago. And during the pandemic, our first lockdown last year, they actually used the door, they opened the door and they used it to sell their takeaway products. So they sold takeaway coffee and gelato directly from the wine window. So let's keep on walking. Let me just throw this away. Carta and plastic. They have, it is actually one of the best gelateria in the city. They make fresh gelato daily, all of the typical seasonal sorbets and creams like pistachio, chocolate. I can never resist. I always try to taste something different, but I always have to have a pistachio. The pistachio is coming from Sicily, coming from Bronte. So we're taking a walk to discover the wine windows of Firenze, and I'm taking you towards an area where there's a really high density of windows. Firstly, let me show you this door. Look how cute this door is. This is a little door that's going downstairs to a sala of Caffè Italiano. This is also a really great pizzeria, the pizzeria of Caffè Italiano. So the road that I'm heading towards is called Borgo degli Albizi. The Borgo degli Albizi is a strategic road heading east towards Bologna. And this road actually passed through an area that was dominantly owned by a very important wine family called the Albizi. So the Albizi actually ruled Florence before the Medici. So in the Middle Ages, and many of their homes and medieval towers are actually along this street that is partly named after them, called Borgo degli Albizi. So the Albizi were a family who actually intermarried with another family, noble family, called the Frescobaldi. So you probably heard this name because the Frescobaldi, it's 26 generations of winemaking. And they're based in Firenze, but most of their wineries are towards the Chianti Rufina area, okay? Nipozzano is a very famous wine coming from this area. In fact, the Nipozzano Chianti Rufina is always rated in the top 100 of Wine Spectator. It's a fantastic wine, Chianti Rufina. It's not Rufino. So Rufino is the company that exported the fiasco. So the fiasco, the straw-based bottle that was exported in the 50s all over the world, was the Rufino family, okay? Today we have the gold label Rufino Ducale. But Chianti Rufina is actually another fabulous zone of Chianti. And here we arrive at, hi everyone, hi Meg. Nice to see you all. Can you see all the tables outside for the summer? So this year, like last year, many of the tables or the outdoor areas have been extended, okay? So that, people can have, they have their distances for the pandemic, but they can also enjoy being outdoors. And so here, we are in this gorgeous square, Piazza di San Pier Maggiore, and we can see some medieval towers around here. These towers were a lot higher. Many of the towers were taken down because they caused political problems. In fact, there's a very, very tall tower behind me. You can see it's all, look how high it is. It's in the original height of a tower. This was typical medieval architecture. And now we can see, we see a blend from the 10th century to the 19th century. And here we begin the street, Borgo degli Albizi. So when the commune allowed this law of the wine windows, the owners, they realized that it was really economically great because they didn't have to pay a tax or commissions to the osterie, the typical restaurants, or the enoteca, the wine bars, and also we had the fiaschetteria. So they didn't have to pay this added taxes, and they could sell directly from their home. Here we can see, I'm on Borgo degli Albizi. Here we can see one of the windows just here. So this one is an original one. You can see the circular metal on the actual door. So above that circular metal was like a little knocker where you could knock. Sometimes they actually added a time where you could knock and access wine. So a wine window. A wine window, in Italian we call it a bocchetta del vino. And if any of you were with me, maybe it was a year ago, we actually I had a webinar with Robin Giesling, Geesling, and she is actually an American photographer who has studied the wine windows. And if you go onto her website, you will find some really beautiful photography of the wine windows, the Bucchette di Vino. You see this sign, it says Gelateria. This is a place where handmade leather books are made, and the shop owner has turned his wine window into a little display showing his beautiful handmade books. And here we could see the Palazzo degli Albizi. So this is a palace of the Albizi from the 16th century, okay? And the name of this actually changes the name of the street. It turns into Corso. So from Borgo degli Albizi, it turns into Corso. Here's one. It's actually been transformed into a letterbox. Now, there's a couple along this street that are really interesting because before they actually cut a hole into their palace, some of the families, they started to try out this possibility of selling directly from their doors, from their actual wooden doors. So some of the wine windows are actually hidden inside the wooden door. They actually cut out a little window and they look a little hidden. Here's one. Can you see that one? This is the window that you can only really see. This is the rear side of it, okay? So it was only open from the inside. So that is one of the older wine windows. So this was kind of a trial run before they started to cut into the actual palaces to continue this very famous way of selling wine. In fact, so famous that we have hundreds of wine windows in Firenze and also around kind of coming into Florence. So coming in on the eastern side, the Via Faenza, even towards Via Pistoiese, another major road heading west. We can find ancient wine windows. So for any of you who have just arrived, welcome to Firenze. I'm taking you for a walk around the historical centre. My name is Linda. I am a local tour operator based in Florence. My company is Italy Customized. I'm originally from Australia. I've been in Firenze for 21 years and I create multi-day vacations all over Italy, the French Riviera and the Greek islands. It's pretty exciting. Yesterday I actually had my first American agent arrived into Florence and has a group coming at the end of the month. But it's very quiet. There's a lot of Europeans around. I want to show you this palazzo because it's very beautiful. But very few international groups. And here we see this palazzo. Look how beautiful this palace is. We can see the family crest of the Medici and the graffiare, this graffiti on the facade, okay? This is called graffiti, graffiare, a scratching technique that was used during the Renaissance to create this decorative facade. And here, it's actually being hidden by this truck, but behind the truck there's actually another wine window. There might be another little hidden one, a wooden one over here. Let me have a look. No, it's being hidden there. And here along this part of the Borgo degli Albizi, we can actually see other important families. This crest that we're coming up to on the right side is the Strozzi. You can see this family crest up here. And here on this side is the family who were called the Pazzi. The Pazzi, the crazy family, the Pazzo family, were a noble family. If any of you have been watching anything about the Medici, you may have heard about the Pazzi conspiracy. And this family actually tried to rid of the Medici. They did not succeed, but this was their home here. We can see the Palazzo Pazzi. Palazzo Pazzi. and designed by Giuliano da Maiano. And they have a very beautiful wine window. There it is. It's there. So this one is very, very beautiful. Now we're going to head towards the Piazza Duomo, because there's a couple of interesting ones along this street. We're on Via del Proconsolo, and let me just turn around so you can see where we are. We're on Via del Proconsolo, and we pass this beautiful palace on the right side that once belonged to the Strozzi family. That is the Anthropology Museum. And actually on this door is another little hidden wine window, one of the wooden wine windows. It's just here. So you can see that little cut out circular section on the door is the wine window. Maybe if I can't see it from behind. No, but you can see it here. There it is. Another wine window. So some of them were even quite low on the ground because the cellars, cantinas, were typically underneath. Many of them were actually just positioned very close to the pathway. So it was an easy access to be able to pick up your fiasco. The wine windows stopped selling directly over 200 years ago. Okay, so it was a trade or a way to sell that kind of ended, when different types of laws on selling alcohol began. But we still actually have many of the original families who live in the historical centre. So in fact, many of these families are selling, what their major industry is actually wine, but they're no longer using the windows. So as I'm walking towards the Piazza Duomo, you can see this gorgeous view. Eccoci, dove sono? I am behind the Santa Maria del Fiore, Saint Mary of the Flower Cathedral. We're getting a great view. This is the oldest part of the structure without the cupola, if you can imagine, and actually was over here, if we see where these flags are, the Opera del Duomo. This is where Michelangelo worked on the David. Okay, so Michelangelo was working on the David here at the Opera del Duomo, and the statue was actually supposed to be placed right there, but they never succeeded in adding the statue to that position, and finally they added it to the front or the entry of the town hall. So we can see the white marble of Carrara, the green from Prato, and the pink coming from southern Tuscany. And it's quite incredible. If you walk around the perimeter of the cathedral, you can see, because it took 300 years to build, the different types of styles. So this very Gothic architecture, windows, thinner windows, kind of change as you make your way closer towards the front of the cathedral. And obviously the builders never really lived to see the finishing product, and typically the builders were the lowest of the guilds. There's an amazing book called Pillars of the Earth that tells the story about the builders. We tend to talk about the architect Arnolfo del Cambio, we talk about the great Brunelleschi, but no one really talks about the builders. And many of the builders were coming even from northern Africa. That's why a lot of the print can also look kind of mosque-like, So different styles. In fact, sometimes, like in Lucca, for example, the cathedral in Lucca has exotic animals on the facade, and this is coming from the artists at the time that kind of added these styles to the architecture. So if we look on the opposite side of the Piazza del Duomo, we can see a plaque of a very, very, very famous sculpture artist called Donatello. Donatello, this is where his workshop originally was. It was in front of... Come? Donatello? Verocchi? Menotti? Non sapevo il suo cognome. Era veramente Menotti? Non è vero! Mi sta raccontando una cavolata.
Non si dice cavolata.
Cosa si dice?
Palle.
Palle, meglio. Lo volevo far vedere la bucchetta di vino che c'è lì sulla porta. Sì, aspetta, ora arrivo. I just cover my face because I've got... Eccola qua. Eccola.
Falla vedere a tutti.
È bellissimo questa cosa. Perché è una delle più antiche, perché prima facevano quello.
Vendiamo noi, se ti interessa puoi comprare.
Ah sì? Posso... Did you hear that, guys? We can buy this wine window.
10.000
Oh
euro.
no, possiamo comprare il vino o possiamo comprare la porta?
La porta, 10.000 euro.
10.000 euro soltanto? Australia.
10.000 euro te lo diamo.
E 10.000 euro?
Guarda, Donatello Menotti.
Donatello Menotti. Can you see? The great Donatello.
Lui è il figlio di Donatello.
Ah
quello
sì?
piccolino.
Il Buddha di Donatello.
Fantastico.
Il Buddha di Donatello.
Fantastico. Grazie mille ragazzi, grazie, ciao. I thought they were going to offer me a glass of wine. They were offering to sell the door for 10,000 euros. So over here, so you have to imagine this. During the time when they were building the cathedral, the great Donatello was working here in his workshop. Okay, so the great Donatello who created the sculpture of David as a child, located inside the Bargello Museum. Also the Marzocchio, so the beautiful symbol of Firenze, the lion of Florence holding the crest of Firenze, also inside the Bargello Museum. And Donatello was they say that he wasn't really interested in money. So in his workshop, he had a giant pot where he would just throw all his coins inside, and he would tell his workers to help themselves. He would just say, help yourself to the money, no problem. And he always kind of dressed like a tramp, not really so interested in wealth, but a great sculptor artist. And Cosimo di Medici, the father of the Medicis, was one of his favorite sculpture artists. Look at this beautiful door. There's no wine window on this door. And here we can see this entry here on this side of the portico takes you up to climb the cupola. So next time you're in Firenze, if you want to climb the cupola, it's only 400 stairs, and from the very highest point, you can see a really exceptional view of the historical center. And all of the terracotta that Brunelleschi actually used to cover the dome. The terracotta is actually coming from a little town south of Firenze called Impruneta, which is around 10 miles away from the historical center. The terracotta from Impruneta is is quite incredible because it's very porous, but it doesn't break under freezing temperatures, below freezing temperatures. So it's very, very famous all over the world. the large terracotta pots that we see, all of the roof tiles. And if you can imagine, while they were building the very large cathedral, St. Mary of the Flower, there were kilns all the way around the perimeter of the cathedral. What were they cooking? They were cooking the bricks. You imagine how many bricks they needed to complete this building. You can see quite a few street artists out on the side of the cathedral, and those who can also visit inside. It's actually open. The cathedral is open, and so is the baptistry. Here we get a gorgeous view of the baptistry. That will then take us to our last but very not least wine window. We're heading towards the wine window of the Antinori. So you can see a little busier Florence in the Piazza del Duomo. Some groups around. The kids just finished school yesterday. So my two sons, Diego and Giulio, they finished school yesterday. And Diego was Dante Alighieri in the school play, so it was really quite funny. Let's have a look at the beautiful baptistry. And we're going to walk towards the Antinori wine window. I love this little door. We need to come to Florence to see all the wine windows. Yes, you do! Val, there's actually one open that sells wine directly, glasses of wine, on the Oltrarno. That is a bar before the pandemic their window. You know, so you could see more people around, but not as many as usual. A typical June would have very large groups all over the city. So it is quiet. We're still having to wear masks, as you can see, and there are few arrivals. So when my agent arrived yesterday from Rome Fiumicino, he explained there was three flights that arrived from the US, and it took about 3 hours to actually get out of the airport. Just because of the line-up and the checks and so on. So slowly, we'll start to open again. Oh, so just 1 week ago, the very famous Sophia Loren came to the cafe that has been open in her honor. The first Sophia Loren to be opened in the world. So the Sophia Loren restaurants, there will be more opened in London. I'm switching from AC Hunter to Wine Winner. Yes, Beth. So Sophia Loren will be part of this restaurant group who will be opening up a series of chain restaurants all over the world. And she was here a week ago to inaugurate her cafe, Sophia Loren Cafe. So there it is, molto bello, with right near the cathedral, selling Napolitan pastries, the rambaba, the sfogliatelle. There is one of the best pizza makers, pizzaiolo from Naples, and a very well-known chef coming from the Amalfi Coast. So yeah, very exciting. Nice place to have pizza or spaghetti, or just sit and enjoy an aperitivo. And Sophia Loren was there just a week ago. You can look it up online, you can see her. She was inside the restaurant waving to everyone who was watching her. And here we can see I'm walking towards our last but not least wine window. Behind this palazzo that looks kind of like a tower is the Antinori Palace. The Antinori Palace belongs to the wine family Pietro Antinori and his wife. They still live in the palace. They've been producing wine since 1385. 30 generations of winemaking. And in fact, their wine window was actually the first to be commemorated with the website Buchette del Vino. Now I'll show you the website. You can look it up online and find information even in English all about the wine windows. So, historically, the ground floor, the door was always open because it was where they would sell their wine. So you could actually walk inside. Ciao Sarabella. You could walk inside and buy wine directly. And the top floors is where where they lived, and they still live. They still live in this palazzo. There's actually a restaurant inside today and a wine bar. And here, on the side of the palazzo, we could see the Buchette del Vino. Eccoci qua. You're welcome. Okay, here it is. This wine window has, it's gorgeous because it's got also the name Vino. As I explained to you, sometimes there was a little plaque above that told you what time you could knock. But here you can also see the website of the Association of the Buchette del Vino. This is a cultural association, and if you go onto this website, www.bvd.1, you can find loads of information also in English, all about the Buchette del Vino. So, my darlings, we've ended another Thank God It's Friday. Thank you to all of you who watched and have been watching every week. It's such a pleasure to show you the beautiful city of Firenze. I look forward to seeing you all again, if not this year, next year, or in the years to come. If you have any questions about vacations in Italy, please feel free to contact me directly at linda@italycustomized.it. If you need any information, you're unsure about how you can start traveling again, just send me a message and I'd love to send you information and speak with you. Tanti baci. Until then, I hope you're all well and healthy and have an amazing weekend, and I love you all very much. Grazie mille. Ciao belli. Ciao. Grazie.